गर्मी तो ज़्यादा है ही है और उसके बाद 5 साल पहले के जो बात हो रही है सो अभी जो है मौसम के ऊपर कि जो गर्मी और ठंडा अभी जो ये जो वर्षा अभी तत्काल में जो हुआ है 2 रात उसमें अभी तो सारे फसल के खराब ही किया है।
Farmers everywhere are already feeling the effects of climate change. In India, Seeds for Needs, a Bioversity International project, is trying to help farmers cope with current and future climate variations by making use of agricultural biodiversity.
We are trying to introduce the farmers to newer varieties and how they can reduce the risks associated with climate change.
First, we identify a set of materials that is likely to do well under farmers' conditions. Then we make like a short list of varieties, land races that we think are going to do well. And then we give a smaller set of farmers to get access to the diversity, to do some kind of systematic observations, collect that information, share that again with them, so that they have more information about these new varieties from their own perspective.
हम लोग के इसी जानकारी हुआ और खेत में भी काम माने कि जैसे कौन बीज लगाना है गेहूँ पर साल भी लगाए थे और इस साल भी लगाए थे। पर साल जो हम गेहूँ लगाए थे वो ट्रायल उस पर मेला भारी लगा था, बहुत दूर दूर के लोग आए थे उसको देखने के लिए।
In India, there are several zones for wheat. What we are doing is taking a few varieties which fall in the eastern zone and the western zone, and we want to see if some variety which was not meant for a particular zone is now working there.
So it's really not about introducing varieties that will do well in 10, 20 years. It's more about adapting to the current conditions. We know that climate change has been happening already, so what we're trying to build is a system that is adaptive, that helps farmers constantly to get access to new materials, and that helps them to kind of track the climate while it changes.
Last year, the project began experimenting with crowdsourcing, a method of getting small contributions from large groups of people to identify patterns or results. In the case of Seeds for Needs, this meant testing only a handful of varieties with a large number of farmers.
So in crowdsourcing, we are trying to involve as many farmers as possible in the trials, and what we're doing is, instead of giving them a whole variety of seeds like 10, 20 or something, we're trying to also make it easier on them to hold the trials. So we're giving them only 3 varieties of seeds.
And they make comparisons. So throughout the growing season, they look at different aspects. They provide us with information about which variety is best for which type of characteristic.
To help farmers get better results, scientists also introduced them to planting techniques, such as line sowing, and demonstrated how the plots should be laid out to make comparing easier.
कुछ वहाँ से मिला है कि जो भाई इतना बीज को इतना क्षेत्रफल में लगाना है, एक किस्म का जो है कि क्या उतना ही बीज था, सब बराबर बीज था, इसलिए मैंने जो भी लगाया है सो उसका एक क्षेत्रफल जो है सबका एक सुनिश्चित क्षेत्रफल है.
We've designed the plots for them, the layouts for them. So it's like 12 rows into 5 meters and then 20 centimeters in between, and they have to do line sowing. We've given them all the instructions. We actually demonstrated one plot for them, and the plots have to be adjacent to each other. So it's also a visual thing when if it's right next to each other, it makes it very easy to compare them.
Despite initial doubts, the trials have exponentially grown in the last 2 years due to good quality seeds and word of mouth.
We have a huge network now. We started with a really small group of farmers clustered in a few villages in one district. So last year, for example, we had around 30 farmers in 3 villages in one district in Bihar. This year we have 5 districts, 59 villages and 500 farmers. So I think the network has exponentially increased, and we have plans to include even more farmers, more districts with each coming year. Last year we had a farmers field day, and we had invited farmers from other villages where we did not have the trials, and what the farmers said, they were really happy with the trial. They're really happy with the varieties that we introduced them to, some new varieties that they did not know of, and mostly they were really happy with the seed quality. So this convinced a lot of farmers to join the biodiversity trials this year.
जो वैरायटी था हम लोग के 21 वैरायटी हम परसा लगाए थे, उसमें हमको 3 वैरायटी बहुत अच्छा लगा था। वो जो दाना जो था से मोटा मोटा भी था और उसका मनी भी अच्छा आया था मैडम।
So what we found was that farmers were quite skeptical about the use of varieties to overcome climate change problems. But when they actually started to see the materials, they were really interested in it. So they discovered that some of the materials were resistant to diseases, some had really good properties of the grain that they really liked.
And seeing it for themselves is the best way. Visualizing it, I mean, we can go and talk to them, and we can try to convince them with terms and ideas and everything. But when they see the plant growing, they get really involved into it. They have a sort of an informal competition going around that, you know, mine is the best, yours is the best. Last year I think I had better yield.
और 3 ट्रायल हमारा जो देख रहे हैं, वह तीनों ट्रायल बहुत ही बढ़िया लग रहा है। जिसमें कुछ है तो तनका मनता अंतर है, लेकिन और कितना अंतर होता है तो रिजल्ट देगा हमारा जब ईल्ड उसमें से निकाल कर उसको देखेंगे, उसका दाना गिनेंगे, उसका दाना का कलर देखेंगे क्या है, वो सब बहुत सारी चीज़ उसको देखेंगे, हाँ, तब उसका हम पूरा बताएंगे। लेकिन अभी जो है हमारा तीनों ट्रायल बहुत बढ़िया लग रहा है।